Why don't we grade the trades, though? And we will start with, who do we start with?
Montez.
Tell you what, Chase Young to San Francisco.
Oh, ooh,
yeah. What do you think about that?
I love it.
Wilson, you want to grade it?
Yeah, I give it A+. Here's the thing: like, I'm still not convinced that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are good at picking the right players initially, but they seem to get around to the right players eventually. And because they have the right players in place strategically, quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, this team is competitive. And Trent Williams is another one. So they have the right players, Fred Warner. I mean, good on the list, but it seems like occasionally they swing for the fences and just they're not even in the stadium when they take the swing. They're still in the locker room. And then there are other times where they're trying to bunt the ball and they bunt a grand slam. And it feels like Brock Purdy was a grand slam bunt. Christian McCaffrey obviously was. Trent Williams, Fred Warner they got in the draft. And I think this is just another piece, an obvious piece they needed, because this defense, and Breach, you can attest to this, given that you saw the game, how it unfolded with the Bengals going into Levi Stadium and whooping up on them. The defense isn't what it was at the beginning of the season. Now they have Javon Hargrave and Armstead in the middle. You have Bosa bookended with Chase Young. And by the way, Bosa and Chase Young played together at Ohio State. And at the time you would say, these are two of the best players on planet Earth, and they're playing on a college team. Imagine what they would look like on an NFL team. Well, we don't have to imagine because now they're going to do it.
2 seasons together at Ohio State, 42 combined sacks during those 2 seasons. And, it is kind of crazy. You mentioned the Bengals game, and I do think that probably played a somewhat big part because it feels like the 49ers probably walked out of the Vikings game, that Monday nighter in week 7, and said, maybe that was a little fluky. We couldn't get after Cousins, but he's a smart quarterback, throws it quickly. We had to fly halfway across the country. We weren't healthy. And so then you go home and get your pants pulled down again. Now you're in trouble, and now you're going into the trade deadline thinking, all right, this happened 2 games in a row against 2 good quarterbacks. We have to make a move. And so this was definitely a splash by the 49ers.
Second round is a steal too, by the way.
Third rounder.
Oh.
Third rounder for Chase Young. Second rounder was for Montez Sweat. Yeah. I mean, I think the third rounder is because, this is a rental with Chase Young more than likely. Not more than likely a rental. They could obviously end up signing him to a long-term deal, but Chase Young is in a situation where he's going to want a ton of money. Former number 2 overall pick. Behind Kyler Murray, was he behind? No, Nick Bosa was behind Kyler Murray. Was he behind Joe Burrow? Is that right?
No, he was number 1 overall.
He was 1 overall.
Yeah.
Was he? He was 1 overall. I'm an idiot. I was thinking he and Nick Bosa were the same pick. Never mind. Carry on. Anyway, former number 1 overall pick. He is going to demand a ton of money. Like the 49ers just paid Nick Bosa a ton of money.
Second overall pick. We're done. You were right. You're not crazy.
Oh, Wilson was looking at me with disgust. I'm like flushed.
2020. It was the year after Bosa, though.
Why didn't you correct me? You were panicked because you didn't know?
No, I didn't say anything to you. I was going to say that just make sure we grade both teams. I was reading.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I was doing.
God, you freaked me out, Breach. Anywho, Chase Young's 24 years old, by the way. Like, there's a really good chance that the 49ers, who Burrow went 1, this is the 2020 draft, and so that means that the selection for the 49ers was Brandon Ayuk at 25. I remember they traded with the Vikings into that spot. But like the 49ers also had 14th. They took Javon Kinlaw that year. There's a really good chance that the 49ers had a huge grade on Chase Young, and that they have inside information because they have Nick Bosa on their team, and they believe that Chase Young down the stretch for a contender in a defense that is going to be really aggressive, that's going to feature him and Nick Bosa attacking quarterbacks. He's not going to see any double teams. He's going to make life easier for his old college buddy. Like that Chase Young can have a huge second half of the season, and they're like, go get paid, dude, and help us win. You go get paid. It's a win-win. I give the Niners an A here easily for getting Chase Young. Even if it's just a rental, it's a 3rd-round pick, and they're expected, I believe, to receive compensatory selections in the 3rd round, and it's one of those comp picks. So it's even a back into the 3rd round to trade because it's a compensatory pick. So for Washington, I sort of give them a D.
Brenton, and to that point, real quick on your comp picks, is that if Chase Young leaves in free agency, the 49ers will get a comp pick back. So it essentially becomes a free trade, but where they gave up nothing because they'll get a
Well,
pick for Chase Young leaving.
Right. So Chase Young is awesome. He's going to get paid a ton of money in free agency, which is going to get them a third-round compensatory pick the following year. And if he's awesome, it means they made a deep run to the playoffs, or more than likely, they make the playoffs and you would think they would make a deep run. And I mean, maybe it's an A+ for the Niners. Like, this is a great deal. The roll of the dice here is tremendous for the Washington. I give him a D. I don't see how, like, it's like you drafted Chase Young second overall to be a generational pass rusher to like, there was talk like during that draft too, where it's like, if Joe Burrow wasn't here, like, you could easily take Chase Young first overall, and it just didn't work out for Washington at all.
Well, he tore his ACL. I mean, let's give him a break. That's why he struggled. He's been balling out this year, though. And I think the thing for me, and Breach, tell me what you think of this. So Diana Rossini, who's now The Athletic, tweeted this out after, we'll talk about Montez Sweat, his teammate, in a second, but they were both traded. The Commanders are building in that they're stockpiling these draft picks. They now have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, 4.5 if you worry about the compensatory part of it, 3 in the top 50. They have Payne and Allen locked up at defensive tackle. By the way, Jonathan Allen's made it clear he is not happy with the direction this organization is going. And the final thing that Diana tweets is the building seems thrilled right now, and I find that incredibly hard to believe when you were high on Sam Howell a month ago. The offensive line is in shambles. The offense can't move. Jonathan Allen's pissed off, and you're acting like it's the day before the draft. You're going to get the player that you want as opposed to Halloween, and you're building towards next year.
Yeah, the building seems thrilled. Why don't you talk to the people in the locker room? Because I'm guessing they're not too thrilled. This team's already giving up on the season, and we're not even headed. Week 9 hasn't even started yet. So I'm guessing that the front office might be thrilled. But guess what? Those picks don't mean anything if you don't have a smart front office. They're just lottery tickets that you threw away. You threw away Montez Sweat and you threw away Chase Young with no guarantee return because you have no idea if you're going to hit on those picks. So I don't know why. I don't know. I just thought Washington got a little crazy. We're going to talk about Montez Sweat in a second. So
that's what I was going to say. Like, is it worth grading Washington in totality on the Montez Sweat and Chase Young deals?
So let's wrap this up. So A for San Francisco for me, for Brinson and Breach. What are you giving them?
For what?
San Francisco getting Chase Young.
Oh yeah, an A.